Hey guys, Vince Morton, pro staff for ModernOutdoorSportsman.com. Fortunately, I found some open water today, and I want to take this opportunity to show you guys a couple different styles of jerkbait baits that I like to use, and just talk about some things to do in this kind of situation, and then I'll move forward in talking about what to do in the springtime as well. So right now, this water is still very cold. And what we're looking for actually is that 40 degree temperature in the water. That's when the fish start to get a little bit more active. Right now they're still real sluggish. Even the bait fish are still moving real slow. So I want to take this opportunity, show you what I would do in this situation, and especially when the water gets a little bit warmer. These tips and tricks that I want to talk about are going to help you even more when that water gets to that 40 degree mark. So right now I'm throwing a deep suspending jerkbait. This is a husky jerk. It goes about 7 to 16 feet deep. And I'm throwing it on a 10-pound monofilament line. I've got my Abu Garcia Revo. This is a 7-to-1 gear ratio on a 7-foot medium action rod. Now what I'm going to show you is how I work this bait, and go from there. Now, with this jerkbait, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank it all the way down to its depth. Get it down as far as it can go, and then I'm going to let it sit there. I'm going to let it sit for about 45 seconds to a minute. And what I'm looking for is I want that lure to fall down real slow. It's a suspending lure, so it's going to fall down instead of like an original floater as it would go up. I don't want that. I want the lure to go down right now. So I'm going to let it sit for, like I said, 45 seconds to a minute. Just let it sit there. And like you would think with a jerkbait, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to jerk it, right? Not with this. That's not what we're looking for. Those fish are real sluggish still. They're real lethargic. And like I said, even the bait fish are real lethargic. So what I'm going to do actually, instead of jerking it, I'm going to give it a pull. I'm just going to pull it. Instead of that jerk, I just want that real slow pull. And then I'm going to let it sit again. Like I said, 45 seconds to a minute. Patience is the key right now. We do not want to move fast. Those bass aren't real active yet. This water is cold. They don't want to move. They're deep. They're suspended. They're right off the bottom. We want that lure to fall down real slow. The jerkbait, there's all kinds of different jerkbaits on the market. And going to like Bass Pro Shops or any other store where you might buy your lure, it can be intimidating. There's hundreds of different kinds of jerkbaits, different colors, different manufacturers. It's intimidating. You don't know which one to get. And honestly, what I like to do is just experiment. I'll throw 8 or 9 different jerkbaits today until I find, maybe what color they're hitting on, or which one I think is going to produce. But that's just, that's the name of the game. You got to keep trying and keep throwing different jerkbaits until you find the one that they want. So, like I said earlier, we want this lure to sink down. And I like it to sink down nose first. What I mean by that is I want the lure to be sinking down just like this. Real slow. And now this lure, it's already a suspended lure. It's already naturally gonna fall down like this. But there's a trick that I like to use to make that lure fall down a little bit faster. If it's not going as fast as I want it to, maybe it's going a little too slow and I'm sitting there, for almost 2 minutes, 3 minutes waiting for that thing to finally get down. There's a trick that I like to use, and it's lead tape. You'll notice at the belly of this lure I've got lead tape on there. And what that's going to do is just going to speed up that process for that lure to fall down faster. This is what the lead tape, this is by Storm. They make these suspended strips. And it's just like little pieces of tape that you can rip off and you put on your lure. I like it on the belly. Some guys like it on top of the lure, so it sits like that. I like it on the belly, whichever, but like I said, you want that lure to fall down nose first like that. Another big important thing that I have to stress about is sharp hooks. This lure might fall down all the way down to that bass at the bottom, and it's sitting right in front of his face. And all of a sudden, he's gonna bite onto that thing, right? He might bite onto that, have it in his mouth. You think you might feel the hit, he opens his mouth back up and it's gone. Just because those hooks weren't sharp. I've seen videos where bass will literally take that lure, bite onto it, and then let go of it. And it's like, you're thinking, what the heck, that whole lure was in his mouth. You know, I've got sharp enough hooks. Those hooks gotta be razor sharp. Always make sure you're using razor sharp hooks. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about springtime jerkbaits. You know, when that water temperature is up, those fish are active, they're starting to work their way into the shallows. I like to go to the Rapala X-Rap. This Rapala X-Rap comes in different sizes, different colors. Now, what I'm looking for with this now, instead of the wintertime, in the spring, I want that crazy movement from that X-Rap. I'm going to jerk it, it's going to pause, but this time instead of that jerkbait going down, I want the lure to go up. So, what I like to do when I'm using this jerkbait, cast it out. Now I'm going to do that jerk. I'm going to jerk it a couple times, and I'm going to let it sit. And that lure now is going to go up instead of down, like I said. And that's what I'm looking for. Jerk it, kick it back. Jerk it, kick it back. Now, if you notice what I'm saying, what I mean by that, when I'm kicking it back like that, jerk, jerk, out. Now what I'm doing is that lure is actually kicking, and it's going to sit sideways when it pauses. So it's going to be a jerk, jerk, push the rod back towards the lure. Jerk, jerk, back. Jerk, jerk, back. Now what's happening is that lure is kicking out. When I pause it and I'm pushing it back, that lure is kicking sideways, right in front of that fish's face. So that's what we're hoping for. And they're not going to be able to stand that. It's kicking right out in front of their face. It's going up. It drives them nuts. Now another thing you want to look for when you're using this is water clarity. You know, these lures come in different colors, and that's really important when we're talking, you know, how clear that water is or how dark that water is. In a clear water situation, I like a color like this. I like a bright color, something with a lot of flash. The sun's out real bright. I want that lure to flash as much as possible. You know, so this is one of my favorite colors for a clear water situation. Now, what you want to look for when you're using this is look for like ledges in the water. And what I mean by that is like a drop-off point to where those bass are going to start working their way up towards the shallows, and there's those drop-offs. That's what you're looking for. You want to work that lure around that area. They're going to be in those ambush points also. They're going to be hiding in the weeds. Smallies, you know, they like that rock cover. They're going to be looking for something like this to come by in the shallows. Some kind of like a minnow forage is what you're looking for, this kind of style. So look for that. And also, just like in the wintertime and springtime, I like my Revo 7-to-1 gear ratio, 7-foot medium action rod, and 10-pound monofilament. You know, in the wintertime, I like to use the monofilament because it's going to get that lure to sink down. I don't want it to float up like I said before, and the monofilament helps with that. The fluorocarbon now in the springtime, you can use that in the springtime because now we want that lure to float up. So these are some things I think you should try out, you know, especially right now. You know, it's late winter, early spring, the water temps are cold. Try that deep suspended husky jerk or those deep suspended jerk baits. And in the springtime, I recommend the Rapala X-Rap. I hope these tips help for you. Try out these tricks. And as always, happy fishing and tight lines.